Yo, gentlemen, can you hear me? Hey, gentlemen, can you hear me?
Oh, I think it's because I had it on mute. Hey, Paul, can you hear me?
I can.
Hey, I can hear you.
You can hear me, Paul?
Yes, I can.
Okay, cool. We just can't hear it out of there.
Well,
It's supposed to come out of this, so I don't know what the deal is.
where you come from? Living or work wise?
I go back to the other setting on there.
Yeah, I moved
On the
up
voice setting.
New York, Long Island, about 4 or 5 years ago.
Probably going back to the original setting you had it on
I
there.
started here, Vermont, working for Ben and Jerry's as assistant controller for the factories here, both from Waterbury and St. Albans. Yeah.
Sorry, Paul, we're having some issues.
Well, your screen is split three ways.
Yeah,
What's
it's
the
been, it's been the best part.
Can you hear us or?
I've got three people on the screen.
Yeah, it's
Good morning.
The three people is right.
Yeah.
Oh, there comes another one. Still three, they're just different.
It's Scott's probably not here yet.
I'm like, Dan, and then Dan got over and signals there.
Here, I'm gonna see if we can.
Is there a volume on this owl,
Or
or is it just controlled by the?
I don't know, it freaking always works too. Like, that's the weird thing. Oh, there is a volume on this side, but there's nothing coming out of this, it's coming out of that. And that's where the problem
Hey.
is.
Hey, Nick, I would have you exit the Zoom meeting and enter back in and see if it goes to its normal settings if you haven't
Okay.
done that already.
I'll try that then.
Oh, that's all right.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to close everyone out though, I think.
No,
Or
I'm a host, so I'll stay
Okay.
on.
All right, we'll try that then.
Hey, Paul.
Good morning, Clayton. Every time I'm gonna enter into a Green Mountain Transit meeting, I trust that the technology will work.
It seems like it's a new adventure every time. I left early so I'd be in the boardroom before the meeting and the traffic was so stupid, I'm still driving there.
Oh,
There isn't.
Yeah, I've got,
It's from now there, it's.
Wow.
We can hear you.
that looks more normal.
Start letting some people in here.
Showing you guys tried plugging it in through a different
Well, yeah,
USB.
the video wasn't working originally, so I moved it over there. I could try that again, but no video.
You got anybody in the meeting room?
Yeah, we're here.
You that okay?
I think we're just all gonna have to be very quiet.
The volume on there.
I just jacked up the volume as high as it could
Well, we
go.
gotta turn up the TV.
Yeah. Yeah, can you?
Do one of those controllers working?
I mean, are we still?
What's
trying-
going on now?
Who else is it? Ben? Admit all, we'll admit all of them.
Modern technology.
Yeah,
That's good
There we
when it's
go.
not.
yeah.
You need a
It's
few
weird,
more cooks
because
in the
I-
kitchen, that's all, that's your problem. Not enough cooks in there.
Is it getting louder at all?
I don't think so.
No.
This is the bell.
Right.
What speaker setting?
I'm gonna try to, maybe I can jack it up on my laptop if I.
I have a set of speakers up top. If you wanna-
Where are they? Yeah, where are your speakers? Why don't you go grab them?
It's just the US.
Alright, we're having technical difficulties this morning. We're trying to fix it, so just bear with us. We're going to try to get some speakers because the owl isn't working and we can't really hear you folks very well. You can hear us all right, though?
Can hear you just fine.
That's so weird that,
Yeah.
because that means the owl's taking in ours, but not.
And whatever you were clicking, the owl was making noise on, but for whatever reason, the audio settings, is it in Zoom?
The setting's probably in Zoom and you just have to do the right output
Yeah,
In Zoom?
Yeah.
Okay.
in Zoom.
I don't see anywhere where it's saying anything about volume.
What do you do that arrow next to the audio?
Yeah.
Does that give you an idea?
Oh, speakers, headphones, Real Tech. Oh, there
I
it
just
is.
parked and I'll be right in.
This might get real loud. Could someone say something?
Morning.
Can you?
I
It's working
Susan,
now.
so
Clayton,
far
you
it's
were
just you and me for committee members.
Thank you, Clayton.
settings in Zoom, had it set.
Yeah.
Speaker.
I didn't
I'm in
realize
the
it.
parking lot and I'm about to be in there, so I'll see if I can help.
No, we fixed it. You're right. Alright, so go ahead, Paul. Sorry for the delay.
That's okay, it's not a problem. We only have two members, so we don't have.
Okay. Well,
we don't
Chapin's
have-
coming in right now.
Morning, Chapin. You make a quorum.
All right, sorry to leave you hanging for 5 minutes.
It's okay, we had technical difficulties, so you just missed all the excitement. All right, at 8:05, let's call the meeting to order of the November 13th Finance Committee meeting. Are there any adjustments to the agenda? It's pretty packed already. Are there any public comments?
Yes, me.
Go ahead, Kimberly.
I recommend John Moore be general manager for Green Mountain Transit.
Okay, thank you, Kim.
You're welcome.
Let's move on then to the committee minutes of October 9th. See, right now Kim is taking up my screen.
We figured it out, yeah.
Sorry,
There
Paul,
we
you
go.
said
Okay,
it's
here
fixed
we go.
now.
It was the Zoom settings, Clay. You're right.
Okay.
Well, of course I'm right. Right. Everybody seems so surprised.
All right, a motion would be in order to accept the October committee minutes.
So moved.
Thank you, Chapin.
Second.
Thank you, Susan. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? We're all voting, so that's a motion approved. Next item on the agenda is number 5, proposed capital budget adjustments. Matt?
Good morning. Okay,
Morning, Matt.
so I sent a couple of memos, one for the FY26 capital budget adjustment and one for the proposed FY27 capital budget. I will share my screen and walk through the changes to the capital we'll start with FY26. And I'll try to be as expedient as possible, given the packed agenda. Is everyone seeing the FY26 capital
see
budget?
We've got it.
Got it. Okay. All right, so there are several changes here to account for the First Amendment to the state grant agreement with V-Trans, which was recently executed. We're also adjusting some carry forward project amounts and programming some direct federal funds for certain projects, and then also programming some local funding that we're receiving from the city of Burlington that will cover some passenger amenity improvements and software relating to passengers' use of the system. So first one, we increased facility PM line E by $19,536 with some new funding coming in from V-Trans. Similarly, the spare parts that's increasing by $111,697.50, also due to new funding from V-Trans. Something blocking my other screen here. Oh, before I get too far along as well, the prior capital budgets, we built the direct federal project, the direct projects with direct federal funds with our typical 80-10-10 split, 80% federal, 10% state, 10% local. And that was left in place while we were ironing out the details of the First Amendment with V-Trans that was recently executed. But we did not receive the state match levels to do 80-10-10 for a lot of those projects. And V-Trans was not able at this time to come up with more state match for those projects in the capital budget. So the other thing we're doing in this is we're correcting those amounts to reflect what's actually in the state grant agreement as far as matching state funds, which is really limited to $2,600 for the 31 Queen City Park facility improvements. So you'll see a number of these projects have zero state with the local share picking that up. And Nick and I accounted for this in the months leading up to this by capturing a higher local match obligation from the FY27 operating budget. So what this is doing is right-sizing the local capital match to match what's in the FY27 operating budget. So I'll just mention that before I move along. So with passenger amenities, we did have $102.18 from FY24 carry forward state funds that we did apply to that line item in our billing to date. So the local match for line L, that increases by $4,897.82 to account for the higher local share that GMT will be picking up for that line item. Line LB. So I'm adding this new line item, and our prior capital budget was already used up A through Z in line items, so I had to get a little creative with line item number. So this is the 100% local funds from the city of Burlington. These are covering bus stop improvements within the city of Burlington, purchase of a rider communications technology, and some DTC technology, replacement DTC technology, like the passenger information screens, the platform. So
Is
they,
is there any background on that new line item?
yes, and I'd like to kick it over to another colleague, either Nick or Clayton. Chapin, it also looked like you were raising your hand. I believe this is due to the elimination of the number 11, and we're keeping some of the assessment that was already given to us.
Yes.
Very good, thank you.
Chapin, do you want to talk to that?
I mean, I'm happy to. So Burlington paid a full assessment, assuming the College Street shuttle portion of the Route 11 service was going to continue to be fare free, because Burlington pays an extra amount for it to be fare free. There were changes to the Route 11 that took it off fare free. So Burlington, in essence, had paid more assessment in FY26 than we would have had we known what service changes were coming. So instead of asking for the money back, we decided that we would continue to invest that extra $90,000 in GMT by dedicating it to future capital improvements that would largely benefit Burlington.
Thank you, Chapin.
Yep.
Thanks, Chapin. So moving along, line N, similar to the passenger amenity line, and line L, where we're carrying a higher local match. This one probably has the biggest impact to the local capital match, where it's increasing by $36,229.10. So we are matching this line item fully with the 20% non-federal share. Line O, this is server replacement and IT equipment. This one has a few changes that make up this, so it's got a lot of moving parts in it. But so previously we had 25,000 in this line item, and it's being increased by 9,319.21 in a couple of different ways. We are programming $11,753 of direct federal support equipment capital funds that we have in a existing direct federal grant that we're going to use to help fund the server replacement. And programming these funds allowed us to ask VTrans to push more of the funding that they were going to allocate to this line item up to facility PM, which we really needed more funding for. So the 33,767 is a combination of pass-through capital funds through VTrans, as well as our direct federal funds. And so those two sources cobbled together bring this line item to 33,767.96. And you'll see we have 1,908 in matching state funds related to the pass-through funding, with the balance coming from our local capital match. Line P, this was previously 50,000. VTrans has provided some additional funding to allow us to buy a 1-ton shop truck replacement. This would replace our oldest shop truck, which is well past its useful life and really in need of replacement this year. So the 50,000 was carry forward from FY25, so that's why the 5,000 shown in the prior year local capital match, and then we have the 650 coming from the new funding award in this year. Line U, this is for our 31 Queen City Park facility improvements and master plan study. We're programming some additional direct federal funds here, increasing that by 17,712 to a total of 77,712. The increase is we had to replace all the Reznor gas heaters in the shop. And this is to make sure that we had enough money to pay for that project, as well as the facility planning study and any other associated costs from that grant or from that project. Line V, this is the electric bus charging infrastructure. So this line item, we are increasing this by $230,201. This will allow us to execute a service level agreement, which will include extended warranties for the Heliox bus chargers for this phase 2 charging infrastructure project, as well as some enhanced technical support through the charger manufacturer Heliox, which would include a 3-day service response time that will be really helpful in maintaining or avoiding extended downtimes of the charging equipment. There's also some 24/7 monitoring in there, as well as 2 preventive maintenance visits per year by the manufacturer Heliox. So programming the 230,000, and that will cover all of those technical support activities for 5 years and extend the charger warranty to 5 years as well. Line W, this is really just adjusting the carry forward balance from FY24 now that we've closed out FY25. We just had a slightly different balance. It's actually off by just under $80. So it's decreased by $79.29. And lastly, line Z, similarly, we had a different carry forward balance than what was actually available after FY25. And this number is reflected in the state grant amendment that reflects the actual carry forward balance. So that was decreased by $1,952.36. And so the cumulative changes to the capital budget increased the overall budget by $482,754 and increase our current year local capital match by $150,740. Just note that $90,370 is attributed to those assessment funds from the city of Burlington that they let us keep. And so this number matches what Nick has in the operating budget for what we are setting aside for local capital match to fund the capital budget.
Matt, did I fall asleep or did you miss line N?
Line what? Which line?
N, the ITS improvements.
I did do that one, Paul. It was the local capital match is increasing due to not having any state matching funds for that. So it increases by $36,229.10.
Okay, I apologize. I missed it.
No problem.
Matt, I just have a quick question about the
Yep.
master planning study.
Yes.
Is that, I was just surprised to see funding for that in the capital budget. Is that rather than in the operating budget with our other planning costs?
Well, it's not completely a planning study. We're putting it here because we have a direct federal grant for that facility. So we're able to fund it from that source rather than the CCRPC funds. And so this helps us with freeing up more of those funds for other studies that Chris is working on while utilizing that direct federal grant that we have. So that's the primary reason for having that in the capital budget.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
Yep. And I'll just do a quick note on rural rather than pausing for questions on urban. On rural, the only change is we previously had these carbon reduction funding line items listed as EV Ford Transits. We're actually switching gears and purchasing LPG cutaways. This has been discussed in coordination with TBT, and they're supportive of that approach. And it's really the staff preference to purchase those vehicles instead of Ford Transits for this use. So any questions about the FY26 adjustment?
I think a motion would be in order to recommend the budget adjustment to the board.
One question, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead.
You may have touched on this, Matt, but from a big picture standpoint, with us needing to increase our local match allocation this year, what is this setting up for future fiscal years? And did I understand correctly that we're using FY27 local match to help backfill this, or was it FY26?
This is FY26. If I might have said FY27 in the past, and if I did, that was a mistake. This is all from the FY26 operating budget.
And are we setting up an unsustainable direction here? Is the amount of local match heavier such that we are not going to have sufficient local match in 27 and 28? Could you talk about trend data? I don't believe that's the case. I'll let Nick weigh in if he thinks otherwise. 27, I think the only way it would impact future years is if we were pulling a lot of money from the fund, because that would help fund any shortages that we can allocate from the current year's operating budget.
Yeah, I'll speak to that. So Chapin, the answer is, yes, we will have likely local match issues in the near term, because of the rural transfer, because of the way the numbers are shaking out for 27 now. You know, we're likely facing a deficit and possibly a local match shortage as well. 28, we will definitely have that problem, more so than 27. Now, one point I'll make is that we do have roughly $2 million in our local capital match fund on the urban side. So we do have some wiggle room there if we want to take some pressure off the operating budget for a couple of years and, you know, just use those funds. However, you know, that does bring us away from our fund balance policy of trying to have, you know, 2 months of fund balance on hand. So, you know, that's a decision the board will have to make.
Thanks. I appreciate that. With that additional context, I move to approve these FY26 capital program budget amendments.
And I'll second that.
Thank you, Susan. Any more discussion, questions? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Matt.
Okay, thank you. Let me just get the 27 capital budget. Okay. Is everyone seeing the 27 capital budget on their screen?
I think so.
Okay. All right, so I'll try not to belabor this. I think I took a little bit more time on that 26 adjustment than I had hoped. So really quickly, line A, 7 heavy duty electric buses. This is our next batch of buses for the existing Lono grants, projecting 1.35 million per, for a total of 9,471,840. We're programming the tier 3 funding from BED to cover the local share, so there's no local match coming from this one, from the FY27 operating budget. Line B, so we worked with VTrans to take advantage of an opportunity from the FTA to be able to submit proposals to restructure existing Lono grants, existing no emission Lono awards to utilize those funds to purchase low emission vehicles. So we looked at the grant budget, the slate of projects, the matching funds from DEC, the Volkswagen settlement funds, and put together a plan that would allow us to modify the FY24 Lono award to VTrans, which was funding 17 electric buses, to use that to purchase 13 electric buses and 7 hybrid buses. So we'd increase the number of buses that we're purchasing by 3. And so we submitted that. There hasn't been a response from FTA to the best of my knowledge regarding that. So we are building this plan as if that is going to move forward, but that is something that we may find out that's not going to happen, in which case we would remove the hybrid buses from this and move back to our zero emission plan. So with this, the 4 hybrid buses between 920 and 930,000 each. So that one's 3.69 million. Local capital match, we're programming from the fund. Nick gave me a figure of 186,000 as what he has targeting for local capital match from the FY27 operating budget. So that was one of my goals with this budget, was to match that dollar amount. So we're pulling that from the fund to help meet that dollar amount. The other thing I'll just note before I move through this budget is also capturing a lot of the projects that we included in our application that GMT submitted this summer for the 5339 Bus and Bus Facilities Grant Program, as well as the 5339 Lono program. So with the Lono program, we requested funding for 12 SSTA propane cutaways. We're looking to pilot that program with our SSTA vehicle lease, and SSTA is supportive of that approach. And so we're programming those into the FY27 capital budget. So I said 12, but we have 6 here. So we're doing 6 in 27, 6 in 28. That's the plan. And this is all pending actual award of those funds. And there hasn't been an announcement of the awards at this time, or even a timetable of when that award will take place. So that one is 1.15 million. Local share gets paid from our rent, our vehicle lease rent from SSTA. So we have that coming from the non-local funds. Our Bus and Bus Facilities grant application also included replacement gas vehicles. This will be 1 Ford Transit and 2 non-ADA minivans. Total of 204,000 for that one, with the 20,400 of local coming from the SSTA vehicle lease rent. Moving along, facility PM, spare parts, and this midlife overhaul. Facility PM and spare parts, these are the traditional preventive maintenance capital lines that we have. And these are mirroring the dollar amounts that we have in our 5-year capital plan for those 2 line items. The midlife overhaul, we're looking to move in a direction pending being able to get this level of funding of doing roughly 3 midlife overhauls per year for vehicles that are at the midlife stage. And so this would include a in-frame engine replacement, transmission replacement, and then comprehensive corrosion repair of the bus body to really help extend that life, keep that bus in service up to the 12 years, as well as those times where we need to extend it beyond 12 years. This will really help those buses remain in service. Line H, this is our phase 3 electric bus charging infrastructure project. This is a projected budget figure from that hybrid restructuring plan. This would be for 2 Heliox chargers feeding a total of 6 dispensers, which is part of our Lono partnership with New Flyer that was included in that FY24 Lono award. Also programming some of the inflationary adjustment funding that we received, VTrans received in the FY25 Lono award. Line I and J, employment development or workforce development from the electric bus project, also part of the Lono, and the electric bus diagnostic equipment and special tools. I increased this one to 90,000. Just looking at the grant balance, I think we need to be a bit more aggressive, or at least try to be a bit more aggressive. It is difficult with training because there is so many moving parts to getting that awarded or organized, and there's only so much training that you can hold in a given year. But I put that at 90,000 as a number that we can try to target for that. And then there's 38,000 for the diagnostic equipment and special tools. That's sort of following the trend over the last 2 years of what we've been purchasing against that per year. Lines K, L, and M, these are all related to the Lono application that GMT submitted. So first we have the fueling infrastructure for the SSTA lease cutaways. And we built this to have as much flexibility as possible, understanding that we do not own the SSTA facility. SSTA is a subcontractor. So we did need to have some flexibility in how we approach the fueling infrastructure to minimize how much of it is a permanent installation at that site versus something that can be mobilized and moved to another area. So we have, believe it was 1,000-gallon skid steer fueling system and pump, and on a concrete pad. So this 37,950, that is what we have in the application as far as the FY27 share of that project. The application also included project administration, so this will cover GMT's costs for overseeing that project with the LPG fueling infrastructure install at their facility, as well as vehicle and infrastructure training for SSTA staff, which I believe could be extended to any GMT staff if we did have an interest in purchasing LPG vehicles for our own fleet. There isn't really any discussions of that at this time with rural being transferred, but there is that opportunity. Line N, passenger amenity improvements, including ADA accessibility improvements. I include that note on including ADA accessibility improvements because in our 5339 application, we proposed those projects with a 90% federal share, which is allowed by FTA for the 5339 bus and bus facilities for bus stop improvement projects, which bring a bus stop into ADA compliance. So we had a number of bus stop improvement projects in the slate that we captured in that. And so let's check how many I still have the other. So we had a total slate of 8 bus stops that we captured in that application with that 90% federal share. And so what we're programming in FY27 are improvements to 5 of those 8 stops. Once again, pending us actually getting these funds from the FTA. Line O, this is a replacement bus wash for our facility. And the one that we have is past its useful life, is multiple recurring maintenance needs that are getting more and more expensive. So this is matching the request amount from our 5339 bus and bus facilities application. And that is the case for lines P, Q, and R are also from that application. So rather than belaboring that point, I'll just say Line P, diesel fuel tank and pump replacements for $129,000. Line Q, 101 Queen City Park, building envelope repair and maintenance. This would be addressing a number of corrosion-related issues with our building envelope, with siding, door frames. We also included an estimate for addressing some of the roof flashing issues that we've been facing with water intrusion. So that totals $185,000. Line R, improvements to our exterior walkway corridor between the new driver break room and the bus storage garage. So this is that sidewalk that runs across the courtyard. This would be installing a covered canopy over that sidewalk, as well as the concrete patio space just outside the 3 doors on that that lead into the courtyard, as well as installing an ice melt system in the replacing the concrete pad that's currently in front of the bus wash bay exit with a new concrete pad that would have a ice melt system integrated into it, which would help with avoiding slip and falls. So this would have a great improvement in both comfort with the covered walkway, as well as safety with addressing the ice melt in front of the wash bay exit, where people are crossing to get into the garage. Line S, replacement office and technology equipment. This would be replacing components of the security system, as well as general IT hardware. This is matching the amount in our 5-year capital plan of $35,000. And then lastly, third-party inspection and Buy America audit for those heavy-duty bus orders listed above, which we would estimate would be $16,000. So in total, we are proposing an FY27 capital budget of $18,210,721, majority of which is related to vehicles and charging infrastructure. And this would carry $186,000 of local capital match from the FY27 operating budget, $347,478 being programmed from the capital match fund, which I forgot to mention for line O, to meet that $186,000 local match figure from FY27, we're proposing to utilize $70,087 in local capital match from the fund for the bus wash project. And then we have $523,634 of local match coming from other sources, which is the Burlington Electric Tier 3 funding, as well as vehicle lease funding from SSTA for the SSTA projects. And so that's a total of $533,478, with $186 coming from the 27 operating budget and $347,478 from the capital match fund. And then lastly, we are not proposing a rural capital budget at this time, as the transfers is moving forward, and we do not expect to have a rural grant in place for the rural systems for either rural system, FGI or Berlin, come July 1st, 2026. So I will stop sharing and open up for any questions, and would welcome a motion for this capital budget proposal.
Any questions for Matt?
Go ahead, Dan. Paul, I do have a question, if that's okay for Matt.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks. Matt, just I want to go back up to the propulsion chain to the hybrids. Just want to mention with the FTA trams system just opening last week, we will be working on that propulsion change in the coming month with you. And so don't fret. We're not delayed at all, just that we weren't ready yet because the FTA wasn't. And we're actually doing Marble Valleys first, where we're switching their Latendas to hybrids. And then I do need to make one more note on your workforce development line. I'm sorry, I lost track of which one that was. The 90,000 that you're looking to program there in number and letter I because the propulsion change actually requires a different workforce development calculation, you will only have not 5%, but 0.5% for a portion of your workforce development program. Those funds that are remaining can be put back into the capital vehicle line. And so I just want to make a note there that you'll likely see less funding available for workforce development underneath that low note. You may not want to do 90 or just do an adjustment perhaps once you know what the number is. So
That sounds good. And just to confirm, Dan, is that change is happening to the workforce development in the FY24 grant award, or is that also impacting the FY23 award?
Great question. We're making the change in the FY23 low-no, but only to the Marble Valley portion of the workforce funding. So your workforce development for GMT is staying the same. So I think it's what, 251,000, I think is what the number was. So your amount isn't changing in that one. The 24 workforce development number would have to be decreased.
Okay. So just for awareness sake, the funding in this line item, I'm pulling from the FY23 low-no award, and I'll make sure that I'm benchmarking against the right figure, because I think I did my own calculation of how much of that workforce development was ours and how much was Marble Valley's, because it's all in one line item in the grant. So I'll just confirm that I have the correct figure with you.
Yeah, basically we just divided it in two.
Yeah.
50-50.
Yep.
So
We've got the unit cost, ready to go. Good.
yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Matt.
Questions for Matt? Yeah, Chapin?
Well, so this is helpful, and I guess, one of the pieces I've been pleased over the years is that you've been incorporating some asset management efforts to look at what our sustainable level of reinvestment is, given that buses are our largest asset class. Can you talk about how this rate of replacement either attains our sustainable replacement of fleet vehicles or falls short of that?
So I'll start with that. The rate of replacement that we've been using to benchmark what is sustainable and what's not has not taken into account any reduction in fleet that may need to come as part of the service reductions that we've experienced in recent over the past year. So I'll just say that we've benchmarked as 5 heavy duty replacements per year is a sustainable schedule, since we had roughly 66 heavy duty buses with 12-year service life. So dividing that 5 to 6 buses per year is considered sustainable. So we're actually exceeding that, but we're also sort of making up on previous ground of not having sustainable. So I'll just say we're going a little bit heavier in this capital budget, but it's also catching us up to a sustainable schedule, which would be that more 5 to 6 replacements per year. So with that, with the 7 and the 4, we're up going above and beyond the sustainable schedule. And then I'll also say that like you said, with the asset management practices, that 3 midlife overhauls is also part of that sustainability and maintaining service availability through those 12 years and even beyond in those years where we do need to stretch out buses.
That's a great point. I was pleased to see that. It's not sexy new buses, but it's maintaining our very valuable assets as best we can. Great. No concerns. Happy to support this when it comes to a vote.
Any other questions, Susan, for Matt?
Yeah, I have 2 questions, Matt. First of all, thank you for pulling all this together. So I just want to confirm that GMT, we don't have any sort of internal carbon reduction plan. So just in thinking about some of the decision making about the types of buses that we're purchasing, I just want to make sure like we don't have anything that we've developed around our goals for carbon reduction. Is that right?
That is my understanding. Clayton, I'm not aware of any,
So I can, so Susan, the performance committee was looking at setting the standard earlier in the year and was having difficulty just because of the upcoming rural transition of how we set a standard that, you know, wouldn't apply to organizations that are moving on. And so, but that is on the list of things to create when we restart our committees in hopefully January and February.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And it would be more than just in the past, we talked about having like a an electric battery bus, you know, plan, but this will be more of a you know, no entirety, so it won't be specific to, you know, just bus electric battery.
Okay, great. So looking forward to that conversation when we get to it. The other question I had, Matt, was about the passenger amenity improvements, and the ADA accessibility improvements. I'm just, maybe we get this, and I apologize if I've missed it in the past, but does the board get a list of the projects that are completed, each year? So I don't know that I know what, stops we're improving, where those are and what those improvements are. And I would like to, because if any are happening in my community, I want to make sure that I'm
Yep.
letting folks know. But yeah, I was wondering if that's something that is information the board is given and when.
So our annual report that gets submitted to the board, believe it would, unless we are doing a more broad strokes capital budget or capital program update, the annual report would be the time where we would demonstrate to the board what capital improvements or bus stop improvements took place. I can take your feedback as a direction to and capture that information in the annual report if it hasn't been captured in years past. We may have more highlighted on some of the larger facility upgrades like the bus lift replacement and the roof replacement, but we can certainly provide an overview of what bus stop improvements were done in the prior year.
I think that would be really, excuse me, helpful as a commissioner. All the work that you're doing, you know, capital improvements for the organization are hugely important, but those particular ones are really our customer facing ones. So something that the commissioners are really more directly important as we communicate with our public. So that'd be great. Thank you.
Okay.
And so Susan, I'm going to interject here and say that I think that you're bringing up a great idea. And one of the things that I'm going to ask our shelter committee that meets monthly, you know, to plan out the, you know, the maintenance work and the improvements to the shelters, is that anytime we have a significant improvement that they notify the appropriate commissioners and the town manager, because I think you're absolutely right that that's something that we need to communicate in almost real time so that you all know what to highlight.
Great. Thanks, Clayton.
That's great.
Matt, I had a question. I'm not sure it's something you can answer, but by adding the hybrid buses, we have 3 different modes of operation. And so I'm wondering whether our mechanics are aware of this move and whether it's going to complicate our garage operations significantly, and whether this is a good idea.
So I'll say that we discussed this with Tyler before making this proposal, and Tyler was of the opinion, and I'm going based on memory, so I apologize if I misspeak, but he found that the opportunity to get more buses outweighed any challenges to adding a new propulsion system to the mix. So I don't know if that communication went down to the mechanic level. There would be some training needed, but I think the good thing is that the diesel hybrid propulsion system is not a significantly different change than the existing diesel It's still a Cummins engine, just a hybrid Cummins engine. So I guess it's my way of saying that we communicated to the management level in maintenance, but I don't know if that's been discussed at the mechanic level or not. But they are aware of the change and we're supportive of the change.
Who's the manufacturer of those buses?
These would be New Flyer as well.
New Flyer? Okay,
Yep.
thanks.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Matt? Then a motion would be in order to recommend to the board the approval of the FY 27 capital budget.
So moved.
Thank you, Susan.
Second.
Thank you, Chapin. Any more discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries and that will be recommended to the board. We're
Thank
down to the last item. Matt took a lot of your time.
Yeah, I'm gonna really run through this very quickly.
Whatever you need to take.
Yeah, I mean, Paul, I was planning on this just, so I did an abbreviated presentation. This is not gonna be, can you all see this by the way? Can you see my presentation?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I did an abbreviated presentation just because I didn't think I was gonna have a ton of time left. So this isn't gonna be like the 20-30 slide. So you'll probably appreciate that, to be honest with you. So I consolidated kind of just the high points. Obviously, I provided a finance report in the materials. There is September Q1 financials in there, and we'll run through those real quick. So looking through September 30th, as a whole, about 7.1 million in total revenues, 7.3 in total expense. So, you know, that's a net loss of 221,000. We are still working through our audit, which means our fixed asset module, we just got it closed. So by the time we had these financials, we didn't have like depreciation and things like that. So I can't provide you a net assets figure, but we'll be able to do that next month. How that breaks out by division, on the urban side, and I'll go through this, but very pleased on how we ended the first quarter on the urban side on a number of levels. But you know, a $5,000 deficit, you know, that's really a timing issue, and I think less than 0.1% of total revenue. So we're pretty happy with that. On the rural side, there's a couple caveats. So, you know, a significant loss. However, please note that loss is the result of some data, and I wrote about this in my report, but some data issues we had on the demand response side, which prevented us from billing our July and August O&D grant. So that loss will be totally erased when we're able to bill that grant. And because of some really hard work from my staff in fixing that data, and John, we're hoping to have that all cleared up by next month. So we shouldn't see a loss next month when we bring it to you. I mean, I'm not going to guarantee that, but that loss should be erased. And like I said, it's just the result of not being able to do those grant billings. See if I can get to the next slide. Oops. Okay, so just like, you know, a quick executive summary on the urban side. So very happy with how we ended federal, state, and local spending, 24.5%. You know, we're 3 months through the year. We'd hope to be at 25, but we actually want to be below that for federal, state, and local, because it means we're underspending our grants. So really happy to see that, you know, we're underspending that, because really that's a signal that our expenses are where we want them to be as well, because, you know, obviously we bill our expenses through our grants. And this year I was probably the most nervous than any budget year, just because this is the first year that we've made some pretty important assumptions about, you know, where costs are going to go, because we had significant service reductions. So, you know, we had a good deal of forecasting going into FY26. So what this tells me, and we've done some, really dug into the numbers that, we think our assumptions are pretty right on, in terms of what we were estimating for the cost savings from the service reductions and what we're seeing now. Listen, we're only 3 months through the year, so, you know, things could change, but looking at the data, for the first 3 months, it appears that, you know, the service reductions we estimated are in fact happening, to the level that we expected. So expenses are on target as well. Operating revenue is a little bit below where we'd like to see them. Really, that's just urban advertising income. We're seeing that much lower this year for the first 3 months than last year. And then just some budget variances that we're keeping an eye on. Legal expenses, you know, that's pretty lumpy through the year, so we're not surprised to see that that's, you know, higher than we'd expect. Passenger facility expense, we didn't get the, we're paying to store some buses, as I think many of you know, and they didn't pay us or send us an invoice. So we unfortunately had 2 years of invoices we're gonna get this year. So that's why we're over budget there. But we've reached out to them, so hopefully that won't happen, and hopefully those buses will be going to Texas, so we don't have to continue to pay that bill. So like I said, just cost impacts from the service reductions, we think, or we've looked at the numbers, we believe we're on track. You know, driver wages are slightly over 25%, which is the benchmark, and that's really just driven by the extra payroll that was in August. So we know why we're over, so we're happy to see that. You know, the other items that are really driven by service reductions, payroll tax, healthcare, pension, other employee benefits, those are all, you know, within the ballpark. So, you know, we're happy to see that as well. Jump into the rural side. If I can get this thing to work. So the rural side is not as great, and not necessarily because we couldn't build the O&D grant, but I'll talk a little bit more about O&D in a minute. But you know, federal, state, and local spending below target, so we're happy with that. We should be below target because of the lumpiness of seasonal service. Operating revenues are above target, so we're happy to see that. And then, you know, expenses are on target, so everything looks pretty good year to date. You know, we know why that loss is showing, because of not billing the O&D grant. And there's not, you know, the driver wages are a little, I'd like to see a little bit more of a spread there between the benchmark just because of seasonal service, but I'm not gonna, you know, ring alarm bells yet. I mean, there's a couple lines that we're keeping an eye on, like unemployment and, you know, other transportation. The big problem that we're seeing on the rural side this year, well, there's two problems. Number one, we passed the budget with, you know, a $670,000 deficit. And then number two, we are likely gonna run out of O&D funding in January or February. And so managing that program, so that the loss that we have budgeted already doesn't grow to, you know, an amount that eats up our entire fund balance is really gonna be paramount. And I know that the board and the leadership committee have been vetted on this. So people are aware of the problem. We've got V-Trans here today. We're gonna be working with the mobility committees, but that program is gonna need some significant reform this year unless more funds can be identified.
Both.
Sorry, what?
Or both.
Or both, yes. And then just some other items, we're bringing the 27 operating budget next month to you folks and the board. That gives us enough time to have a public budget meeting and, you know, get it passed by February. Assessments have been sent out to town and city managers and finance directors. So they have these numbers. Assessments got a little weird this year because of some issues with the ADA reforms that we did. Clayton's been in touch on that with both the board and the city and town managers. And then quarterly, you know, had a quarterly meeting with SSDA the other day, went really well. They're showing us, you know, small gains in both programs, so no transit rate adjustment needed. we're obviously, they're a big partner in OED, so we're gonna be working with them as well, to figure out how we deal with that program long term. I assume I'm probably over time already, and so, that's all I have. We'll do a more comprehensive, review, next quarter. Thank you. Any questions? Paul, you're on mute. Hey, Paul, you're on mute.
You can probably unmute them.
I'm gonna try. I can ask to unmute. Okay. Did you lose your sound, Paul? Hmm. Well, Chapin, do you wanna take over and close out the meeting? Or does anybody have any questions on the financials?
I mean, I think we can just generally ask questions. I don't have any questions at this time. I'm pleased to see the urban trending as well as it is, and we can discuss more later.
Okay,
Susan, any questions? No.
I think we might have lost quorum, and I think Susan might have dropped off. I think she had a hard stop at 9.
Okay, great. All right, well, given that there's no action on this item, so I think, barring any other questions, Paul, my suggestion is that we close this item and move on.
Yeah. All right.
And that was the last item.
I think that was the last item too, unless anybody has any other items, Chapin, so.
No.
All right, well, that's it. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Have a good
all.
day.
More.
Bye.